Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 601. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, Matt, we're talking Gorilla's Killzone, the original Halo killer on PlayStation 2. More on that later on. First, Matt, I want to know, what is your favorite killer?
Is that the Killzone characters?
I meant, okay, so Killzone's the Halo killer.
Got it. Okay. I thought you
Do
were
you have a
looking.
favorite?
I thought you were looking
What's your
for.
favorite ripoff of a? No, yeah, I don't think we'd. Well, stay tuned. No, what's your favorite game that is designed to kill to become the new thing? You mentioned last week by ranking Mario Kart 8 where we did that Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform might be the ultimate Mario Kart killer.
ESPN
Go ahead.
Football 2K5.
Is the Madden killer?
Yeah.
Nice. I like that a lot.
The
I
one
like
I
that
think
quite a bit.
2K4 is the one we ranked. 2K5 was the next iteration of that game, the one that came in at $20 that year.
Yes, 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 yes. Good call. I like that. I, man, I don't know. I don't. I asked this question and I don't even think I have an answer for it
Is it Killzone?
besides stealing. Is Killzone? No, it's not Killzone. It is not Killzone. Uh, yeah. I don't know about that one. I don't know. Does Symphony of the Night count?
What's it
Like,
killing? Its own
uh,
formula?
yeah. They were killing the. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
There was that.
wasn't Sonic supposed to be the Mario
Well,
killer?
I guess in a way. So yeah, but see, it would be Sonic 2. It wouldn't be Sonic 1.
Hmm. Bubsy?
No, I was never Bubsy. I rented a Bubsy. Didn't love a Bubsy. But yeah, like I don't know. We played that Demi Kids. That was a pretty good Pokemon killer. Didn't quite get there, but you know what? Let's go with that. Let's.
Okay. Demi Kids it is.
uh, yeah. Even though Shin Megami Tensei predates Pokemon, so Pokemon's technically a.
But is Persona then a killer of Shin Megami Tensei? How does that?
It's a good point.
How does
The
that?
first one was technically within the series. Yeah. Everything, everything kills everything. That's the way the world goes. Killzone is the game of the week. Developed by Guerrilla Games, published by Sony Computer Entertainment, released on the PlayStation 2 on November 2nd, 2004. The back of the box reads, in an era of planetary colonization, the Helghast await orders to initiate a massive blitzkrieg on the outlying ISA colony, Vecta. Initiative will be obtained, armies will engage, and lives will be lost. Amidst the chaos, a squad of soldiers will become heroes. Does that tell you what Killzone is? Or do you have a better way to describe Killzone?
I,
What is Killzone?
I mean, it hits the point. It's first person shooter, military first person shooter, and it's kind of aliens instead of against Germany or some kind of Eastern European enemy.
Yeah, yeah. So at the time, something more like this, I guess, would have been because this is 2004. Call of Duty exists at this point, but it's like Call of Duty, not
It's World War
was
Two.
two even out yet, or was it the year two came
Oh, I
out?
had no idea.
Big red one, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's the PlayStation 2 one.
I know. So big red one, Call of Duty 2 was 2005. The original Call of Duty 2 was 2005, and that's Infinity Ward. The fellas. Uh,
I guess
yeah,
at this
first release
point, then
was
you have popular Medal of Honor games then too. If you're looking at first-person shooters at
sure.
this
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
like Frontline and Rising
Call of
Sun.
Duty, the first one on uh, initially just PC. Eventually, it would come to PS3 and 360 as Call of Duty Classic in 2009. So yeah, it was just that. It did for all the N-Gage players out there. Call of Duty did hit N-Gage the same year as Killzone. But yeah, I mean, when Killzone came out, Call of Duty wasn't the thing like it is now. To Matt's point, it would have been Medal of Honor. You think an N-Gage?
Yeah, all the Engage players out there. Yeah.
They're out there, man. We can't go to an N-Gage hole again.
No, 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 no.
I just look. You're on YouTube already. Just go look up the N-Gage ads. They're so good. Where it's just like it's these really like these shots of like a bus stop, and it's like this is where I got the furthest with Laura, and it's like ugh, creepy, gross. And then you realize it's because he's playing Tomb Raider on the bus stop. You know what I mean?
Let me
It's
bring you
like
back
this is where.
to another Engage
All right,
classic, Tony Hawk 3 and 4.
boom.
I was watching some on YouTube. Ad for 3 and 4 remake came on. Watched the whole thing, even though I've seen it already.
You watching? Oh, the N-Gage
Not the
Tony Hawk?
No, but
Oh.
just just I just want to shout out 3 and 4, and it looks pretty cool. And
I agree. I'm very stoked for Tony Hawk 3 and 4. It's a good. I might die this year, Matt. I don't know if I've said that on the podcast yet, but I've got too many good things happening in 2025.
hold off to 2027.
You can stay alive. I might die. I've got King of the Hill, Tokyo Extreme Racer, Tony Hawk, Skate,
Dude,
Switch 2, Doom. I feel like other stuff is Monster Hunter. I don't know, man.
you're gonna want to play all the Final Fantasy games by 2027
All right.
when Reunion
I'll
comes
stay
out.
alive. I'll stay alive. I'll do what I can. We added Killzone to the schedule this year because I added it because we played Halo last year. Halo is right now our number 5 game on the list. And that list is at thefreecheese.com/.
You should have said Mario Galaxy 2 is your killer, because it was technically a Wii Sports killer.
You're right. You're
we
right.
labeled that all year too, so that's not just a feeder.
Yeah, no, those were our Wii Sports killers. Truly. Wii Sports now sits at number 3 thanks to the Wii Sports killers, Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Tetris Effect connected. But Halo Combat Evolved was one of my 10-pole games for last year. And in coming into this year, I was like, well, what do you do after we cover Halo? Halo Wars, obviously. And then I remembered how much Matt would really hate me if I put Halo Wars on the list. So I didn't for now. But with thinking of that, I was like, well, what came up in the wake of Halo, right? Because we've talked about Doom, we talked about Quake, and we talked about how those things lead to something like Halo and where Halo drew its influences. And we've talked with a couple, of these games we've added to the list. We've talked about the evolution of first-person shooters and how where that audience has gone, right? And obviously, we just talked about Call of Duty, and that seems to be sort of still the dominant thing all this time later, which is crazy. But there was a point in time where there was no clear answer, and especially not a clear answer for platforms that weren't Xbox. When you were Xbox, it was Halo. It didn't matter. You had Halo, you were set, ready to go. When you were not Xbox, how were you competing with Halo? And in ways you didn't need to, because the PS2 was just selling
Mag, dude.
Yeah, you chase Mag, you put out Gun, you put out Black. But GameCube even leaned into like, how do we make Samus seem as cool as Master Chief? How do we make Metroid Prime 2 feel as important as Halo 2? And for PlayStation, that answer was Killzone. Killzone's a series that I completely skipped outside of playing the Vita version. So I'd never played it. So coming into this year, kind of looking at how our library of games would pan out, and sort of the schedule for the year, the stuff that I had been building, um, and returning to that idea of seasons for me, and the idea of spring and new ideas and fresh things. Killzone seemed to fit at the time that I added it. Um,
And then you
we'll
fell
stay there
into
for
my
now.
trap card of my palette of games as well.
I don't even know if it was that so like, it, it just we'll dive into specifics on Killzone. But that was at least my impetus for
Right.
why I wanted to add it this year. Was really like, how do we follow up our conversation with Halo? But let's look at the things that kind of came in the wake of Halo. What does Killzone represent for PlayStation?
I
Let me
want to
ask.
say like a mascot shooter, but it's really not a mascot. I think it's just like their first person guy. Because like
And I,
I was gonna say because this is the only one that really goes anywhere after a first try.
I mean, they did Resistance.
I forgot about Resistance. Well, maybe more so multiplayer focused then, because the Resistance games are single player only, right?
I think so.
Maybe
I
three's not. Maybe three has
three
multi.
probably had multiplayer because
They,
everything in that era
yeah.
had to. Three also had move support, just like Killzone 3 did, because everything had to. But yeah, I think you're right. Let me ask, pre having played Killzone, Matt, what does Killzone represent for PlayStation?
I think it's the same. Like it's their
Same
first
answer.
person shooter franchise and the one that kind of stuck. But with Remember Resistance, I would say maybe their first person like multiplayer shooter.
Yeah. So I did play the Vita version, and I played what was that one called? Mercenary,
Liberation.
Killzone Mercenary. That was PSP. And I've
Right.
since
Right.
played some Liberation as well, just to get a feel for it, and it was, I think it was when Killzone Liberation got added to that PlayStation Plus catalog. I checked it out
Mm.
and spent a little bit of time with it. It's a different
I
game,
meant to
but it's
revisit
neat.
it last year and I never got around to it.
It does mirror, at least the opening stage mirrors the opening stage of this console game. So there's sort of this, like, you're seeing it from a different side, different perspective in a way. But yeah, other than that, I missed Shadowfall, the whole trilogy. It was always one that, especially once this game got added to PS3 and they put out that Killzone. Remember they did those like really nice collections on PS3 where they did like Killzone 1, 2, and 3. I don't
Yeah.
think they ever did a Resistance one, but they did like a Ratchet one. They did all those things. They had those like nice white boxes with gold, whatever. It was that where I was like, I should play Killzone. I should just do 1, 2, and 3 and really see this, and like, because I kind of checked off the list of all the other PlayStation mascots, and this was the one. So we opened it up a bit. This is a first person shooter. Is there, what else about gameplay? Is there any other setup we need in terms of like describing gameplay?
I mean, it feels like a classic kind of like Call of Duty campaign where like you're kind of going from like cover to cover, area to area, where there's enemies. I don't want to say it's like your typical first person shooter campaign, but it's kind of your typical first person shooter campaign.
Yeah, it you move from, you know, start of the level to an end of a level. There are checkpoints, there's cover points, and there's enemies you need to kill along the way. There's different things that happen, but yeah, I think you're right. It's a military shooter in that sense. In that sense, we've got two sides to the story: the Helgast and what's our side, the side that we play as.
Human.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't remember the. I don't know the name of them, but yeah, they're the good guys, not the Helgast.
ISA. The ISA.
ISA. Okay. Um. Are the Helgast interesting villains?
No.
No. So
Uh,
in two, we get Colonel Radek as like a big bad. Is that what this game is missing in terms of making the Helgast interesting?
yeah, I think so. I think also the like them yelling voice lines was really cool in the first level, and then
Yeah, yeah,
in the second level when it's just the same voice lines over
yeah.
and over. But no, I think you're on to something there. They don't have that big intimidating bat. It's just like an army of them.
Yeah, I mean they have the glowing orange eyes and they have the helmets and they're
I mean, that
very
helmet's
like
iconic. Like I can point out
it
that
is
helmet and be like
100%
Killzone.
gas mask. Like it's got a look to it. It's like kind of Stormtrooper, kind of Darth Vader, but still its own thing. It's got you know
Yeah.
they're you can tell they're the bad guys. But yeah, there's nothing about them like where I see them and I'm like, oh, not in the same way. And we're gonna we're gonna go way deep into Halo comparisons, I know, but just to touch on one in terms of gameplay, there's just Hellgast. There's not, oh, what's that thing, right? Where like the elite comes out or the
Mm-hmm.
hunter comes out, or where it's like, oh, what is this? Um, it just doesn't have that same hit. Weapons. What weapons are available?
Um, there's a couple
Generally,
assault.
there's like a
There's an assault
yeah,
rifle. And like they kind of do the Halo thing too, where it's like there's like the Hellgas version of the assault rifle, then the ISA version of the assault rifle. I think same like I know there was like an ISA assault rifle or sniper rifle. There were two different versions of handguns, one Hellgast, one ISA. So like your typical fare, there was a shotgun. Some of the weapons do have secondary fire, so I believe the
yeah,
the Hellgas assault rifle has a secondary shotgun attachment that you can switch to. You have other weapons that do similar types of things where the alternate fire is kind of something completely different almost.
yeah.
Yeah, it's your standard fare. There was a rocket launcher section where you had to use a rocket launcher. Um,
But that was kind of like baked in. It was a
yeah, because you
canon
were
element. Like you
battling
weren't just running through
tanks
the
and
level with one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's your standard fare. I can't really think of anything standing out in terms of like a needler type of thing or something that's like
right, right.
unique. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which it that lends itself to a sort of sense of realism, I think, right? In
No,
the
there's
same
nothing
way that
wrong with that.
people
I'm
are
just
drawn
like,
to. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, your
yeah.
standard
There's not,
fare.
yeah. Did you favor one or the other? Like, could you rest on your sort of, preferences in
I
this case, or do you have to adapt?
I kind of went like light machine gun one, which I don't usually run, but I just felt like having the clip and to mow down
Yeah.
enemies and mobs was useful. Especially the one character's name, and I'm forgetting the character names now. I thought I had them pulled up, but I don't.
The first one you play as, or the second one with the knife?
The third one. The
The
third
third
one
one.
has a light
Yeah.
machine gun, and it's very good. That
Okay.
ended up being like my favorite weapon.
Yeah. Did the hmm. I don't know which direction I want to go with this. That one felt good. What about the other weapons felt bad?
Like lack of punch, or maybe
Okay.
lack of
Yeah.
feedback when shooting at Hellgas. I don't know which one it is. I feel like the punch is the better answer though.
Yeah, and like, so this was one where I really wanted to play it on PS2, but I did not. I've been okay about just like finding these games on eBay and ordering them when I need them as we're playing a lot of these. For some reason, I just like wanted to walk into a store and buy this because I felt like with this being the Halo killer, it would be like omnipresent in every retro game store, right? Like it was whatever kind of it was whatever kind of I don't know. Like
I don't know. I don't know how to help you here.
the game was everywhere. So I felt like it would be everywhere in a retro game store. I'm just getting lost in my own thought. Um but I couldn't have find it anywhere. I went to multiple stores, couldn't find it. It's easily on eBay, but I was like, eh. So I ended up buying the PS3 HD version of it or whatever. and like playing on a DualShock 3 with the like vibration, you know what I mean? Like all of that. And it's still just like playing back on a DualShock 3, like that controller is so much lighter than the controllers we have now. So there was something about that that felt off to me, but I think it's not even a physical sense of the controller in your hand. I think it's exactly what you said. There's no like programmed thing to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you don't, there's no big weight to it. The game does have these moments. You mentioned the rocket launcher part. There's a couple parts where like you have to get into like a manned machine gun kind of thing. Even the stuff like getting a sniper in one of the earlier levels, like it's kind of a forced moment in
Mm-hmm.
the progression. Do you feel like those like stand out? Did they make you feel like you're obviously controlling a more powerful weapon? Like they,
Uh, I don't want to say they stood out, but they threw a mix up in the gameplay that was needed from time to time. Because I don't know what it is particularly about this game, but like it really felt like mob at point A and then get into mob at
yeah,
point B. Like again, you do these in every first-person shooter campaign, but it really just in this game for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the movement or whatever, but like it just really felt like all right, I'm at point A, and now I'm at mob at point B. And then
yeah.
like getting onto the light machine gun or having a rocket launcher to deal with some like tanks or something. It was a mix up that was needed at
Yeah.
times.
I don't know if we jump to Halo yet. I guess you want to talk more about the specifics around like campaign progress.
Um, well, I think it's like one. I think we have to bring in this caveat, right? Where it's like this was supposed to be like a multiplayer first person shooter. We obviously can't experience and go back in time and experience the multiplayer aspect of this. So keep that in mind. But just like the campaign, I'm gonna come out and say like it did not do anything. I did not think it was very good. To the point where I kind of stopped playing after mission 6, level 6, maybe 5. Um, it was just increasingly more and more difficult to pick up. Like at first, when I the first couple levels are weird because you don't have the level or the character select yet. And each character does have like a different starter weapon. I don't want to say an ability per se, but they might have a unique characteristic or whatever. So the first two levels, I think you're stuck with the first character, Templar. Um, and then Luger is introduced in mission 3. I like the Luger starting weapons, but it didn't really. There wasn't much there. They gave her a knife, and it kind of it wanted you to more stealth, but the stealth it's not great because the Hellgas see you too fast. I think. So it just ends up being in gunfights anyway. So it kind of knocks her ability out of the way.
Yeah.
Um, Fourth level, you get Rico Velasquez. That's the person with
Yes.
light machine gun. He's like the loudmouth of the group or whatever. I liked his light machine gun. That was like a positive. It was like the first gun that felt like it has a punch to it, which was nice. And then you get to level 5, and you get to, I guess, slight spoilers, but Gregor Hadka, which is the guy you've been pursuing for the first, like, it's like the mission from the kind of like level 2s that find this guy. Turns out he's half Hellgas and half human, which was like, okay, maybe there's a cool power here. And then it just never ends up being a cool power. It's just another dude with other guns. Yeah. And then after like the surprise of the character select kind of went away, and I realized I was just stuck with these 4, it was very hard for me to keep playing this game because the level design wasn't doing anything for me. The story felt uninspired. I even got to like the captain or the sergeant twist, and I still felt uninspired. Um, so
So what do you
yeah,
think it was about that like didn't? Because I know for me, I I think largely if I boil it down to the purest thing, I was just bored playing this game.
I think it was that. I think it. I was bored, and sometimes like it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to be bored. And like if you go back to like OG Modern Warfare 1 and 2 and 3, there is those campaigns are longer than the more current ones. And those longer campaigns lend to more situations like this where you're running from point A to point B, mob A, mob B, right? But like I don't know, I feel like the story has some beats. Also, the narrative is also being told from in like those situations when you're traveling from point A to point B. You get a little more
Yeah.
backstory or something happens to impact the level or something. You're not necessarily relying on a cutscene. This was very much just level loads. You go through the
Man, yeah.
motions. You see a cutscene. You might go on the stage, the next stage or the next level, and that's it.
There's
Um,
so much quiet in this game too.
yes,
Like just quiet and then like feet shuffling and then you get to the spot and then guns and yeah.
attack. A lot of that.
Yeah, like
I'm
I
pinned
love
down.
PS
Just
I love PS2 games and I feel like a lot of times often, PS2 is like everyone's derogatory like thing they throw out where like if they play a modern game that feels bad, they say it feels like a PS2 game, but honestly, PS2 games are super good and there's so much like depth to so many of them that when something like this happens where it does feel like I don't want to call it unfinished because it's obviously a product that came out and whatever, but like it just yeah, it needs like that next light. It's just so
yeah, it's
that's
like I don't know, like then he, and because all right, the core gameplay is not working. Story's not like anything
right.
crazy. Or like so then like you should really start peeling back the layers. Like the movement sucks. I hate moving
Yes.
my character in this game. I hate every
Yeah.
animation involving a gun, getting onto a turret, getting off a turret,
Yep.
switching weapons, reloading set.
Yep.
Like every animation just feels slow and heavy and sometimes clunky. Um, and just like you start to add in that to the, I don't want to call it a mess, but like you start to add that into all the negative stuff you're feeling, and it becomes a tough game to play. And the first few levels when I didn't have a gun that felt like it had any punch, I did not like any of the weapons we had. Throwing a grenade is super weird.
So I like the baking mechanic and the fact that it lights up to know kind of whatever. The feedback was always off for me. Like I would always hold it way too long or not long enough. But
Just do the regular thing that every other game is doing, where you just hold the button, you hide it, and you'll die the first time, right? If you click it for too long, you learn, and then
right, right.
you go too early, and then the fourth or fifth time you got like you got the timing right. This whole like looking at it, and it'd be fine if you looked at it and tossed it. Then you like look at it, and then you do this whole like throwing animation that just ticks up two on the light. It's really weird, and like the way you angle the throw too, you feel like it should go down the room, and it really just lands in front of you. It's
Yeah.
awkward. It's not, and not maybe it's awkward because other games are doing it differently, especially like today. But like I don't know,
No, it never hit the
I
right
could
way.
throw a grenade in most games and kind of get the idea, the arc after a throw or two. Like every Call of Duty kind of
Mhm.
adjusts their throwing, right? I get used
Yeah.
to it in about a multiplayer game or two. This just never felt good.
No, no, I agree. Um, what do you think would have kept you engaged? Just any one of those things?
I think like fun guns and fun gameplay. Like I don't need like a big bad. I don't need the story to be good, but if I just have fun with like a weapon selection where I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm getting bored, but like if I switch this weapon, it's a unique experience now, or it's a different experience. So like one of the things I made note on very early on was I did not like the sniping at first. Because of the
Yeah.
way, because you zoom down and then it's almost like N64 style, where like you go down scope and then you use the joystick to move the the crosshair around.
Right.
and it's weird. And when you go too far left or right, it pans the camera, and sometimes like
Right. It pulls the
it's
yeah.
iffy on like that gray area. You kind of get used to it, but like I can get used to that. But in my journey, in my notes here, I bitched right away about the sniping, and then I like realized like this is actually the one unique thing about this game, and I kind of like doing it. And,
Yeah.
and and
Every
then
time I had an opportunity to use a sniper, I was happy.
and then that's when it kind of started to dawn on me like this the weapons aren't fun to use, and just this being feeling unique in terms of just like other games or modern game like I said N64. I think every game did this in the N64. Um,
Yeah.
at least it felt unique enough to do whatever. Um, but then the last nail in the coffin, and I'm sure we'll get to visuals, but I'm going on a rant now.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the last nail in the coffin is this game's just gray. Like I
Just
fucking hate
right.
looking at this. And I know we joked about the yellow in Resident Evil 5 a couple weeks ago. That's minor compared to the amount of gray. Like I have in stage 4 of the first level. Oh my god, some green because we went to like a forest level, and even then, it's
Right.
a muddied, like tan
Yeah.
texture. It's not like a true green. It's not bright and vivid.
Yeah. I hated the way this game looked. I yeah. I don't have a lot of nice things to say. It
No, I
sucks.
mean, yeah, like it's not it's not great. Some of those set pieces too just don't work right. Like there's like a Normandy beach moment almost. I think in level 4, if I
Hmm.
remember right. We were once made a man a turret, but like the turret I wanted to get on because there was two, one on each side. The turret I wanted to get on, the dude was on it, and there was like no good button to like hit like get off like Call of Duty has like mine, give me.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it was just like it put me at a tactical disadvantage put in the other one because I'm farther away. The bullet spray is not as accurate, and then like I couldn't clear the first mob as the second mob is timed to like a timer after the first mob. Like it was like stuff like that, and again, it gets to the point where like I'm not having fun, and then all the other frustrations just creep in, and you really just aren't having a good time at all.
Yeah. And now we have everything, right? Like if I'd rented this game, if I rented this game, I probably,
I don't think I would have liked it.
I would have tried to take it back, or it would have sat in the case until the rental period was up and I did something else. But like, yeah, I'm thinking like either way. Back then, it would have been like easy to dismiss, or where it would have been more difficult to dismiss it for me not loving it. I still probably wouldn't have stuck with it today when I have things like just personally I want to play, or we have however many other games to play this season. It was very easy to just quickly say it's time to move
You
on to
have
the
a
next
Monster
thing.
Hunter to play.
Yeah, dude, like fully.
Like,
Like
yeah.
the notes I have written down for the first day I spent with this game, yikes. All I wrote down was yikes. I wrote, is that Brian Cox? And then yikes.
That's a,
Um, it is Brian Cox, by the way.
oh,
Uh, but the second time I sat down to play it, the playing this makes me just want to play Disaster Report 4, and checkpoints in this suck.
yeah. It's yeah.
I did feel like the more I played it, the more I got into a rhythm of it. Like I kind of got what it wanted me to do, but then there's no depth there to make me want to do it more. And I think you nailed it. Like I think just the feel, the lack of story, the lack of character, nothing. There's not like one thing that's compelling. Because like Sonic Frontiers is number 18 on our list. I don't care about the story in that game.
No.
There's like a minor, like neat kind of thing in that, but the game's so much fun to play. There's a tiny little thing with like Robotnik and the little robot girl,
Who
whatever.
the fuck
Doesn't need to be.
cares? But that game is fun to play.
It is right. Like there you go. Like
I did all the story shit for the platinum.
100% because it's fun to play. Like that's it. What's the other one? Like going the other way. I feel like you know Eco, there were times where the gameplay in Eco was really, really frustrating. But the story was so compelling, I wanted to see it through to the end. Like, you got to have one of those things.
Yeah, you
And it
wanted to get to
just,
the next save point to hear the cool music.
well, that too.
It's good save music.
And I wanted to see if I could get the trophy for sitting on all those benches. But yeah, there just wasn't a great. Uh, One other thing on my notes that I did like, I noted as liking. You know what? No, we'll save that for when we talk about sound because
Okay.
it's sound specific.
Attack! Is it
Let's,
that?
it's that. Yeah, you got. Let's talk about Halo Killer. Is this a Halo Killer?
I mean, sure in the marketing.
Where in Killzone do you feel like it does come close to Halo, or how?
I don't think it does. Like the alien race. Like that's the only thing I can
Yeah,
remotely think of. But like the guns aren't the same. Like the Hellgas guns are not sci-fi. They are mostly like
the
like
same that you have. Yeah.
ammunition, like regular human ammunition. Um the world is not like Halo that has all the unique biomes, and again, I didn't get to the end of this game, so maybe it does expand out, but like this is the same brown texture. Sometimes I'm in a park, sometimes I'm on a beach, sometimes I'm inside a building, but like I don't
Yeah.
have the cool environments that a Halo ring could present. Or even like the cool interiors of like the in Halo where you got the purple designs, and it just stands out from the first spaceship that you're in level 1 of that game, right?
Oh yeah, but even the first just 3 levels of Halo are vastly different from one
Right,
another
right.
visually,
Yeah.
geographically, like all yeah.
Um I struggle like the enemy design, like yeah, like the Killzone enemy we already said, like that helmet is like you
It's
you
iconic.
know yeah, when you're looking at Killzone. But like the
Yeah.
enemy design, like there are heavies in this game, and they're tough to identify compared to the regular enemies. And I don't truly know the difference between them besides just having more health and maybe a light machine gun.
Yeah.
Grunts versus elites versus hunters versus like elites of different
Extreme.
colors, like
Yeah.
there's difference.
But it also works too, like the deeper you go into the lore of those characters, like there's stuff behind why they play their role and who they are and where they're from and you know,
But like
it
not
all
even
works.
get into like a lore aspect of it, because I'm sure if I read documents and all this other stuff, like
Yeah.
me and the Halo lore, like I know I've adopted so much of that just from like various games and YouTube videos and other media and whatever. So like I don't think the average player knows that playing Halo 1 for the first time. So like I being nice to Killzone, I'll dismiss that argument, but like in terms of just gameplay, they're not the same. Guns,
Yeah.
nothing stands out. Enemy design, it's not distinguishable.
Yeah.
Story itself, where's the flood moment in this game? I'm not even saying get even like remotely close to like a top 5 moment in gaming for me. I'm just saying like where's the gameplay turn that I need?
Yeah. It all just seems shot. It's a shame because I don't know if 2 does anything better or not, but like I guess they did make sequels to this, so it does something right. What do you think it did right?
It might establish a world.
Sure.
Like I think like starting off with like an alien invasion, kind of like get rescued, or try to defend home base, because that seems to be the main objective of this. And I'm sure by the
Yeah.
end maybe there's a slight offensive, but like getting attacked first and having the main story be like how can we kind of like brace ourselves, I think lends to a second game where like all right, now we go get them, and then from there
Mhm.
whatever you want the lore to be, I think I think it lends itself to that. um but in terms of, I think like the Hellgas could be cool, but again, I think that goes back to
Yeah.
like the lore story thing, like the beats like you
Yeah.
could come up with in a sequel. I like the name Hellgas. I'll give it that. I think that's a
It's a great
cool.
yeah.
It's a
And
great name. Yeah.
Halo was a Doom killer. And Doom and Halo both had protagonists wearing a green suit. Should Killzone have had
No,
someone in a big green suit
I
for
don't think
them?
that would have did anything.
Wouldn't have saved it.
No, because they would have had no weapons to use that were cool.
Fair enough. What was the last game you remember where you truly could not bring yourself to finish it, playing it for the list?
For the list. Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was. I guess we didn't have to reach back that far.
I went right to the very bottom, and yep, there she was.
Yeah,
Before that though, it's just games that are like just boring. Like
yeah,
I'll stick around for a bad for like hey, I don't want to say that, too proudly, but like if it's a hot mess, but there's something good about it, like
yeah.
I don't know how long I don't know that longevity or that tail I will give a game, but like if there's something fun that like I can get myself to repeatedly, I'll play it.
Sure.
But there's just nothing that I liked about it.
Yeah, I agree. I just did not have a good time with this.
It like yeah, and like I know I said at the start like we have to remember the caveat like we don't have the multiplayer, but I can't imagine the multiplayer being that fun with all the weird animations and the movement, unless there's like
No.
power ups or something that I don't know about. Like I said, I didn't really do much research on the multiplayer because it's so who cares at this point, right? But
Yeah. Visuals. Let's talk visuals and sound before we get ready and rank this. Do you think
Brown,
this takes advantage of the PS2's hardware visually?
no, no, there's
No.
just no way.
Especially not for 2004. Like at that point, we've got some really solid contenders on the platform. Yeah. Um, art direction. We talked about it being great. Was there anything about the art direction you liked?
I think the Hellgas are like they can be cool. It's just there was like the variants you can't distinguish. I don't think there were any cool variants. There's not a cool big bad. The
Yeah.
cinematics looked alright. I didn't think they looked bad. I mean, they're brown, but like the character models like don't look bad.
Yeah. Looking back at 2004, just for reference, this is the year we got Doom 3, Tony Hawk's Underground 2, Gran Turismo 4, Metal Gear Solid 3, Halo 2, Ninja Gaiden, the Xbox one, Fable, Far Cry, Katamari Damacy, Monster Hunter. There was some stuff.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2 released this year.
Yeah.
There were
They did that
some
voodoo
obviously,
graphics. Nah, I don't even know. I don't even think
yeah.
voodoo graphics were a thing at that point, or were still a thing at that point.
But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of kind of those big style things. In terms of, PS2 specifically, this is also the year where we get Drakengard, the first in the what would become the Nier series. I mean, the Nier is part of the Drakengard series. We should be fair to it. Looking specifically like, IGN's big at this time. They gave PS2 Game of the Year to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, with runners up Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, and Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. So, you know, they're not even tracking Killzone at this point. Um, Overall game of the year for
I would think San
just
Andreas, right?
yeah, San Andreas. But wait, that's their PS2 page again. No, their overall was Snake Eater. Sorry.
Huh.
Yeah,
Weird
no,
to give
interesting.
PS2 to San. Okay. Anyway,
I guess they had different voting. Yeah,
probably
yeah,
PS2 editors or PS2 everyone.
Right. But yeah, I mean, for that time, like the PS2 was doing stuff, is my point. And it's just weird that this. I don't know. Did you have any visual bugs or anything weird like that of note?
Um, it's tough for me to speak to that, but
The one I'm thinking
I
of
don't think so.
specifically, I'll like when I put together my trailer for us to announce that I was adding this to the list. Uh, and I grabbed screen footage from like a let's play of this on the internet. There was one cutscene from one of the early stages where like a guy's face was just shifting between two character models, and I was looking for stuff like that as I played. I didn't find anything in my playthrough, but
I
I was
have
on the HD, you know.
there was I it took me 15 minutes of looking for an enemy, then thinking I was stuck, and then YouTubing a walkthrough of this level for me to realize I don't think I'm stuck. I'm just not seeing an enemy. But there was like a
Oh no.
door. There was supposed to be like a door that that was open by one of my characters, but they weren't doing it. And like I was up high and it's like a window and there's like a little field and then there's like enemies in like an opposing window and like what is obviously like a room where they can move around. So I'm like looking down as best as I can get every angle. As I just feel like they're like right there, just like looking up at me like an idiot. No, I finally looked and they were in. I had to get to one of the two windows, hit it from like the exact angle for me to see the enemy's head. Like it was like they didn't register, like the AI didn't kick in for them to like attack. They didn't.
I,
So like I had to like shoot them. Once I shot them, they started moving and it became a lot easier. But yeah, once I
yo,
shot
what
them,
a
they opened the
bizarre
window.
bug.
Don't worry, I thought that was gonna be the thing that killed me from playing this game ever again. I didn't get much further, and then I stopped
Yeah,
playing. I
yeah,
was on
yeah.
again.
Yeah, it's demotivating. I did like one thing I noted was I just kind of like got tired. I just wanted to get through this, so I just started sprinting until I saw guys with orange eyes. I was just running, and I did like that when I started doing that. One of the NPCs was just like, sir, do you know where you're going?"
Yeah,
And it
I've
was just
had that.
like, okay, they're calling out that's good. Like there was a good dynamic sound cues here and there from what I could tell, things like that. But I don't know that I liked that part. Anything else? Was there anything like sound acting wise that stood out to you? Performances, Brian Cox, of course.
Nothing of note besides the Helgast yelling the same line over and over.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get ready and rank this. Before we do, we're of course going to talk our final thoughts on the game. What do you think the long-term impact of Killzone's addition to the library had on PlayStation as a brand?
I I mean, it had something, right? Like there's two more numbered main entries, and then you had the launch title Shadowfall. It made
Yeah,
appearances on both the PSP and the Vita.
yeah.
Like PlayStation saw something in this, and maybe two turns it around. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I imagine the the good is in those games because I can't see this continuing to two, and then this still ends up getting another sequel, and then another sequel, and all the spin-offs.
I mean, at the end of the day, all it needs to do is make enough to be profitable. And Gorilla wants to make another one, and they've got an idea to do it, and that's enough to get greenlit, I imagine. But yeah, it's just weird that
And then yeah, and then now then Gorilla is Horizon, right? Like it's really I
right.
can't believe they did four of these games and then went to Horizon, which is actually one of my favorite PlayStation exclusives. I feel like Killzone got better at some point.
It had to have, right?
Yeah.
Would you play one of the sequels?
Ooh, I'm entirely uninspired.
You
If
would you
someone told me it one of my complaints they fixed it, or like two or three of my complaints they fixed it by doing this, I would think about it.
Yeah. Okay. The only one I'd feel like right now, I agree with you. I think that's a good. If we heard specifics around 2 or 3 that told me, hey, this is better. The only one right now I would just sort of do is Shadowfall.
I
I
would.
would
I'd probably play that if.
because I feel like you're not going to launch a PS4 game without modernizing some of the shooter stuff that felt really bad in this one.
Yeah, and then I feel like that's like an okay jumping off point because it got the not for name.
Yeah. Would you play a reboot? If Guerrilla came out and they said, "Hey, we're
Like
starting
proper
over,"
remake or no? You mean like a full on reboot of the series? Yeah,
just like,
I
"Hey, the Horizon thing's going. We're going to make more of those. We're also going to contract it out to other people, but we're going to make here. We're going back to our roots. Here's Killzone 5."
I try it. I try it because I imagine I would get a lot of my answers to how it plays just from watching like a trailer or a gameplay trailer. Like I probably know very early on how it's playing.
Yeah. Well, let's rank this thing. If you're listening, you can follow along at thefreecheese.com/the list. If you're watching, just keep watching. We're going to pull it up and show you. If you missed last week's episode, we've started a new trend where rather than one of us blindly calling out a number, we've each decided where we think Killzone should rank. We're going to share that, and then we'll debate. Matt, I'm gonna let you kick us off. Where do you think Killzone falls on the list currently numbered 1 through 129?
I have this
You're,
as
yeah, sorry.
no. You're good. I feel like I wrote the wrong number down. I I I did write the wrong number. I don't even think our I don't even think we broke it in a way. I think I just wrote the wrong number down. I have this as the new 124.
I have this as the new 125. I put it between Cliffhanger and Halloween. Did you have it above
I have
Cliffhanger?
it. I have it between Lifeline and Cliffhanger.
I'm good with that. I was debating that. I just was thinking maybe Cliffhanger's better, but yeah. Now that's interesting because you did not like Lifeline.
At least Lifeline tries something very interesting. This is just boring. And
I
that's I
yeah,
think the worst thing in a video game. It's just boring.
that is my review says it isn't outright bad in obvious ways like Halloween or Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, but it's incredibly forgettable. It's just boring. Boring. And it's a shame. I really wanted this to be like, oh, cool.
No,
We
I
got a
mean,
cool game to talk
yeah, I
about.
mean my whole like review thing just pretty much is like, oh, I never saw Killzone, and like I don't know how I missed these games. I wish I missed it.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. Not for me.
I think the
Not
sequels
for
are
me at all.
better. I do. There's
I
just
hope.
no way they all play like this.
Yeah. I should have done deeper research into that
Ah,
and
it's fine. Who
maybe
cares?
gone with
We talk
2.
about one.
But
We talk about the game that's
true.
in front of us.
It's true. And yet it ain't my vibe. Ain't my vibe. Next week though, we're returning. Kind of. We haven't been there yet on the list, but we are returning to Castle Wolfenstein, which I'm looking forward to. So come back and hang out and talk with us next week for that one as spring continues. We got a couple more weeks here of just interesting detours through the world of video games. Final thoughts on Killzone? Anything you want to send it off with?
Attack!
Perfect. Until then, thank you, Matt. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.